news. It is July 11th, 2026. And we have some exciting news because Barcelona have completed another signing. And I'm going to tell you who it is also. We're going to talk about Ferran Torres going to PSG. And finally, Bayern Munich all out for Jules Kounde. We have a lot to discuss. So let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Boo, and we just found out our third semi-finalist for the World Cup. England just eliminated Norway in the quarterfinals 2-1 with 2 goals by Jude Bellingham. My God, what a World Cup Jude Bellingham is having. You know, we have Mbappe, who is shining for France. We have Messi with Argentina, Haaland with Norway. We thought it was going to be Kane with England, but lately it's been Bellingham with England. He's been kind of like the one leading them to glory. First against Mexico, today against Norway, which just goes to show how dangerous Bellingham is when he plays close to the box. In fact, that was key in Madrid's Champions League win. What was it, 2-3 seasons ago? I don't know why the hell they dropped him deeper in the midfield. He's been pretty much useless there. But let's hope that, what's his name? Mourinho keeps Bellingham deep in the midfield and not close to the box because he is an incredibly dangerous player. But anyways, Norway packs its bags. We have the first semifinal between France and Spain. I think it's the third semifinal in a row, if I remember correctly. We had a France versus Spain semifinal in the Euros. Spain won. We had a France versus Spain semifinal in the Nations League. Spain won. And now we have another semifinal between those two nations, this time in the World Cup. Hopefully Spain will win. And then now we know that England is awaiting the winner of the Argentina versus Switzerland match, which is set to begin in 10 minutes. So I'm going to try to be brief because I want to go see that match. Hopefully we'll see the GOAT, Lionel Messi, make it to another semifinal. Anyways, let's talk about the news. Let's talk about Barcelona because we do have to talk about Ferran Torres to PSG. Of course, those reports started surfacing yesterday. I talked about it briefly during the podcast. I hadn't been able to fully confirm it, but nonetheless, I did discuss those reports. And well, now I can 100% confirm that, yes, the news is true. Now, by the way, you're going to see right now this. I realized I did not upload my slides. Here we go. I just uploaded them while I was talking to you guys, but now I can add it. But, ladies and gentlemen, the reports are true. The reports are true. Ferran Torres has reached an agreement with a verbal agreement with PSG, a pre-agreement with PSG to sit down and close their agreement after the World Cup. In other words, PSG, as we know, they were interested in Ferran. We knew this way before the World Cup. We know Luis Enrique wants Ferran Torres at PSG because he knows him pretty well from when Luis Enrique was the coach of the Spanish national team. And of course, PSG are looking to reinforce their attacking line because even though their starting attackers are Dembele, Kvaratskhelia, and Doué, they are having kind of like their second line of attackers. A lot of them are leaving. For example, Gonzalo Ramos is leaving, or he's already finalized his agreement, if I'm not mistaken. Colomani, he's leaving too, and it looks like Barcola's leaving too. So PSG looking to reinforce kind of like the substitutes or the second line of attack. Luis Enrique wants Ferran Torres because he knows him from the Spanish national team. And well, now Ferran Torres has communicated to PSG that, yes, he is open to a move, and he will be sitting down with the Parisian club after the World Cup to close an agreement because, of course, right now his focus is on the World Cup with Spain. Now, Ferran Torres' contract expires next summer in 2027. Initially, Barcelona were hesitant about renewing his contract because they first wanted to see what was going to happen with Lewy. If Lewy wanted to stay, they were going to keep Lewy as the substitute of Julian, but Lewy ended up deciding to leave. So then Barcelona were like, okay, let's renew Ferran, so then Ferran can be the substitute of Julian Alvarez. Now, when Barcelona decided to renew Ferran after Lewy announced that he was leaving, it looks like Ferran's agents asked for more money because they believed, or their position was, that since Lewandowski is leaving, Ferran Torres should now have should now have a more important role as, in the first team. And as such, with a more important role, they demanded more money. Barcelona were not willing to do that, so they froze the renewal once again. And between, Barcelona hesitating to renew Ferran to begin with, to then not willing to pay him more money, once they decided to, yes, let's renew him, eventually Ferran Torres was like, all right, they don't appreciate me here. I'm going to go somewhere else. And this is when Luis Enrique's call arrived, and Ferran Torres looks like he has answered that call. Now, it's reported that Barcelona have set a price tag of 50 million euros on Ferran. Let's see if that's the price that PSG end up paying, because, of course, after all, he does have only 1 year left on his contract. But let's hope, if it's not 50, at least something close, 40, maybe 35. But hopefully Barcelona can get a decent amount of money for Ferran Torres. Now, today, more news came out in regards to the Ferran situation, because it looks like his agents are not only talking to PSG, they're talking to other clubs. So there's a chance of him going somewhere else as well. And like I said during yesterday's podcast, if he does, I think this would be a good opportunity for Barcelona to make money, because after all, Barcelona have tabled Dusan Vlahovic as a replacement for Ferran in case Ferran decides to leave, right? Dusan Vlahovic has offered himself to Barca on multiple occasions. Barcelona have met with him. They've told him that, yeah, he's on their list, but he's not really a priority. And Barcelona were considering Dusan, but only if Ferran left. So Dusan would not be a replacement for Lewy. It would be a replacement for Ferran. So if Ferran leaves, we can bring Dusan Vlahovic for free. And then whatever money we make off the Ferran sale, we can use that towards Julian Alvarez or to fund the Karima Adeyemi transfer, which is complete. So for me, honestly, this is a win. In fact, I've been wanting Ferran Torres to leave for a very long time, pretty much ever since he set foot in the club. I did not think this day would ever arrive, because, Ferran barely had any minutes under Xabi, and he always wanted to stay. And then under Flick, he became more important. So I did not think he would want to leave now, but it looks like he does. So thank God. But anyways, also, even if we don't bring Dusan Vlahovic, remember that news I told you guys about how Barcelona did not see Hamza Abdelkarim as a Barca Athletic player because they don't think because they think he's too advanced for 4th division. So maybe we don't even end up bringing Dusan Vlahovic. Maybe Hamza Abdelkarim becomes a substitute for Julian. But anyways, whether it's Vlahovic, whether it's Hamza, either way, we have options there. Options that won't cost us any money, because Hamza, we already signed them. So for me, this is a win. This is a way to replenish Barcelona's coffers, since we have been spending big during this summer. Now, speaking of spending big, we do have to talk about Barcelona's newest signing, because yes, the club have completed the signing of no other than Jesse Bisiwu, the 18-year-old left winger that was playing for Club NXT, which is the reserve team of Club Brugge, or the Barca Athletic of Club Brugge, someone that Barcelona have been trying to sign for quite some time. In fact, Deco flew to Belgium with Joao Amaral, met with the player and his agent. The club tried to sign him in the winter transfer market, but Club Brugge, or actually last summer, if I'm not mistaken, but Club Brugge were asking for too much money. So Barcelona said, never mind. They tried again in the winter. Club Brugge were still asking for too much money. So again, Barca said, never mind. And then, of course, yesterday I told you how Barcelona were going to, or the day before yesterday, Barcelona were going to try to, reinitiate once again, the attempts to sign Jesse Bisiwu, whose contract expires next summer in 2027 and had refused to renew. And in fact, Club Brugge had relegated him to the bench, not giving him any minutes, and in their efforts to try to put pressure on him. The youngster did not cede to that pressure, and he stayed firm that he didn't want to renew and that he wanted to go to Barcelona. So now his dream will become true. Jesse Bisiwu will play for Barcelona. Barcelona have agreed to pay Club Brugge 10 million euros plus some variables. Also, Club Brugge will maintain a 30% of any future sales, plus a buyback clause in case Jesse Bisiwu does not work out at Barcelona. They can buy him back and then, either sell him again or continue developing whatever they want to do with him. Now, Jesse Bisiwu will be a Barca Athletic signing to begin with. It's expected that he will participate in the preseason with Hansi Flick in the first team, but then he will go back down to Barca Athletic to help Giuliano Belletti get that promotion from 4th to 3rd division. And then eventually, The hope is that one day he will be a first-team player. Deco has a lot of faith in this youngster, someone who has been compared a lot to Dembele, given his profile, his speed, his dribbling ability, his 1v1 abilities, his crossing, his goal scoring, etc., etc. If you ask me, I'm very happy with Jesse Bisiwu. His highlights look amazing. He looks like an incredibly promising youngster, but I do think we have completely overpaid for him. I mean, he has a market value of 800,000. He has 1 year left on his contract. He has said that he doesn't want to renew. He has not ceded to the pressure of being relegated to the bench to force him to renew. He has said that he only wants to go to Barca, and next summer we could have signed him for free. And Deco looked at all these factors and said, wow, let's give him 10 million. That makes sense, right? Deco, every time we start getting, good impression of him, like, oh, he's doing a great job, he goes there and pulls something like this, like 10 million euros for a guy who has 1 year left on his contract, who we could sign for free next summer, whose market value is 800,000, and you pay 10 million. I mean, but anyways, I am glad that we have signed Jesse Bisiwu, but pretty crazy price that Deco has agreed to pay. Now, speaking of the summer transfer market, we do have some big news because the German media outlet Bild, who are pretty much the #1 source for news regarding Bayern Munich and the German football and the German market, have reported that Bayern Munich are incredibly interested in Jules Kounde. Now, Bayern are looking to kind of redo their defense, and they have identified Jules Kounde as their #1 priority to reinforce that right back position. But first, Bayern Munich need to offload players, but once they have offloaded some players, their goal is to go all out for Jules Kounde, who of course recently renewed until 2030, if I'm not mistaken, with I think it was 700 million euro release clause, a pretty high release clause. Now, as you know, Barcelona have no intention of selling Kounde. However, their position is that he's not untouchable. So if they do receive a big offer or a good monetary offer, they would consider it. Now, how much is or what does constitute as a good offer for Jules Kounde? Well, Barcelona have set a minimum of 60 million euros. So if Barcelona receive an offer that's worth 60 million or more for Kounde, they would consider it. Doesn't mean they would automatically sell him, but they would consider it. Anything below that, it's like never even happened. So expect a lot of movements after the World Cup, of course. Bayern Munich will be looking to offload players, and once they're done, they will be coming for Jules Kounde. And my question to you is, would you sell Jules Kounde to Bayern Munich? For me, I think the answer is no. I think Jules Kounde has had a horrendous season, don't get me wrong, and if it was only based on this past season, I would personally deliver him to Bayern. But overall, as we've seen in previous season, he's an incredibly great right back. I mean, right now he's having a pretty good World Cup as well. I mean, when he's focused, when he is having a good season, I think he's one of the best right backs in Europe. Last season he was not, but of course he's had many more good seasons before that. So if Kounde can, get his act together and start playing like he's always played and like he's playing right now in the World Cup, I'll be more than happy to have him at Barcelona. But if he's gonna have another bad season like he had last season, then yeah, absolutely. I mean, 60, 70, 80 million for him would be a win. And what I would do with that money, I would bring someone like Dani Munoz, who also had an incredible World Cup and who has been offering himself to Barcelona time and time again. But anyways, let me know what you guys think about this down below in the comment section. And then let's end this video with an update in regards to Julian Alvarez. And then, well, I'll let you guys go because, well, I'm sure all of you also want to watch what's called Argentina versus Switzerland. But let's talk about Julian Alvarez, because we do have an update. As you know, Barcelona have had contact with Atletico Madrid, and they have both decided that they're going to sit down at the negotiation table once the World Cup is over. So for now, there's not going to be any movement. But the new news is that it looks like Joan Laporta will be taking the lead on these negotiations, because the relationship between Deco and Alemany are not good. Of course, Alemany is the sporting director of Atletico Madrid. Deco's the sporting director of Barcelona. They are the ones who would usually have to sit down and negotiate a deal. But since the relationship between them are broken, Joan Laporta will be taking lead of these negotiations and most likely will be negotiating directly with Enrique Cerezo, who's the CEO of Atletico de Madrid. And the other new update in regards to this is that Seems like Barcelona are tabling or are getting ready to offer 130 million euros for Julian once the World Cup is over. That's going to be Barcelona's final offer. They're not going to meet the 150 million that Athletic Madrid have been asking for, which on one hand is good news to see Barcelona kind of setting a ceiling and saying we're not getting past this. But on the other hand, 130 million euros to me is absolute insanity, because on one hand, I don't think it's Julian Alvarez is worth 130 million euros. And on the other hand, I think that's a lot of money for a club who is still recovering financially. But anyways, let me know what you guys think about all this news I share with you by dropping a comment down below. Don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. I'm going to go watch the semi-final, and I will see you guys tomorrow. And as always, Visca Barça.